Makwe Masilela from Makwe Fund Managers joining us at this afternoon, or this evening rather, to unpack those movements. A very good evening to you, Makwe. Let's start with the overall movement on the JSE today. A marginal close in the red, but we did see financial stocks having a good rally of a day, and commodities also showing up quite positively on the trading day. What would you say were some of the other contributors to the market movements that we saw today?
You know, the U.S. earnings show to be doing well, that at least companies are continuing to make profits. We've seen the U.S. retail sales. They were disappointing, but if you look into consumer spending, it shows that it remains solid. And as well, as much as we've seen yesterday, the second quarter GDP number from China, that was disappointing. But today we got some reports that the guys are saying they will do everything to make sure that they expand their economy, especially consumption, as to try to make sure that this current uneven recovery gets to be dealt with. So stuff like that continues to help market sentiments, not forgetting the fact that markets continue to bank on the fact that when it comes to interest rate hikes, we might be nearing a peak.
That is good news, and I wonder if it's got anything to do with the positivity that we've seen on the local unit, Makwe. 17 Rand 85 cents at the moment. This is the most strength we've seen in the Rand for months now. Has it got to do with this interest rate story? Maybe they're reaching their peak and it's having an impact on global currencies like the dollar?
Definitely, for the fact that we've been getting cooler than expected inflation numbers coming out of the U.S., markets strongly believe that, yes, come next week, 25 basis points, we'll be getting that from the U.S. But September is a different story. And as well as we've seen that some of the central bankers continue to be more hawkish as well. But the main one continues to be the U.S. interest rates, because they are the de facto leaders when it comes to setting interest rates. Hence, we've seen the U.S. dollar weakening, drifting to almost a 15-month low, and that benefited the likes of the rand.
Yeah, and we'll talk about what our central bank is likely to do on Thursday in a moment, Makwe. Before that, some company updates out. MultiChoice saying that it's benefiting from this limiting of streaming that it's instituted. That's contributed to it getting more subscriptions. And I don't know, as a consumer who uses DSTV, it's a very frustrating feature to have only one person streaming at a time on the app. But seemingly it's working for them.
Definitely it is working, and the numbers don't lie. We've seen subscriber numbers going up, and so people are happy, but they have to be careful because they'll be facing serious competition from the likes of other streaming companies for Netflix, and they have to make sure that as much as they do that, they have to make sure that content remains to be relevant, because definitely those numbers, as much as they're going up, people might decide to switch out of all those whole things.
Yeah, and I mean, I suppose when you speak about that, one would think that they would be pumping investment into the likes of a Showmax and creating local content, because that's what's working for other video-on-demand services. The outlook for MultiChoice above and beyond the DSTV provision?
It's not looking that great. And remember, the subscription of DSTV, just like your insurance, when people are hitting hard times, it's easy to cancel that, because even your neighbors won't know that you don't have DSTV. They don't remove that dish. And when things maybe start picking up economic-wise, then you can continue with a subscription. So as long as consumers continue to be under the current hardship, chances are the guys might not do that great, and let alone competition from other players.
Here's a company that disappeared for a bit, Makwe. I think our viewers will remember a few short months ago, one of the world's biggest property conglomerates, Evergrande from China, was nearing collapse, almost virtually collapse, and there was fears that it would have a ripple effect on the global economy because of its size and the facilities that it had given to various property and infrastructure-related projects. It's releasing its results finally, and the picture is actually a very bad picture. But as South Africans, why should we care?
We should care. Number one, China is one of our major trading partners. Number two, when it comes to the property sector, it accounts for almost 30% of China's GDP. And as you said, this is the biggest developer, and it might have ripple effects. When it comes to other developers, we might see a lot of unfinished businesses and unfinished project houses, stuff like that. And definitely that won't bode well. But already we've seen the Chinese authorities taking some steps. I think a week and a half back, we're having a targeted stimulus when it comes to the property sector, and it's also talking to the bad numbers that we've seen when it comes to their GDP.
Yeah, and then finally, Makwe, if you will, that interest rate decision coming in for us on Thursday. It's widely anticipated that the SARB will increase by 25 basis points. They may do that, but do you think that we have reached our peak, or do we still have issues like load shedding that are now contributing to inflation that we have to worry about?
I think we're nearing our peak as well. And as well, if you look into our inflation number, I mean, the latest number was 6.3. We'll get in another one tomorrow. But I think we've almost reached our peak as well. And probably the hike on Thursday will be the last one, because you also have to give all these cumulative increases some chance to start working into the economy.
Yeah, I mean, that is music to my ears and of many who are watching this evening. Hopefully you are right and we are indeed reaching our peak, and it'll be the last hike we'll be seeing for a long time. Makwe Masilela, as always, thank you for joining us this evening. He's of Makwe Fund Managers, just wrapping up the market day that was.